All right, we're back here with episode 16 of the Illuvium Rundown. As you can see, we have a different setup here. Whitey is joining us again for the second week in a row. After the first week, he decided to fly halfway across the country, so now we're doing it virtually. But Whitey, welcome back. Thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks for having me again.
Let's just get right into it. The Illuvium Beyond leaderboards. So the last episode, we were talking about how we expected the leaderboards to be coming out soon. And they came out a couple days after that episode. So at this point, we've had about a week and a half of the leaderboards. What have you seen so far? I know we started out with the first people like hitting 1 million points in the leaderboard. And now I'm looking right now. I'll actually pull this up on the screen. And
We get a lot.
first place is already at 1.5 million.
You know, the one thing that I must say, we don't really know where everybody was in the first day or two. So it's kind of hard to say, because I think when it first came out, I was like 50th with maybe 100,000. And now I would say, what is it? 100 is around 400,000. But since the leaderboard has been updated, I mean, we have, like you said, 12 people maybe over 1 million points. And just 3 days ago, I'd say it was maybe, what, two? Would you say that? 2-3 people, maybe with 1 million?
Yeah. I remember at one point, there was just that one person who hit 1 million. I remember I was sitting around 15th place or something like that with like 300,000. Now 300,000 doesn't even get you on the leaderboard.
No, it's not.
So in order to break onto this leaderboard right now, you need 433,000. And this number is growing every day. I'm not sure if many people know this. There are still people not showing up on this leaderboard. And I know that firsthand because I'm one of them. I am currently sitting just under 500,000 points. So I would probably around 78th, 79th place. But I'm not even on this leaderboard, and I'm sure there are other people dealing with the same type of thing as me. If you're on the leaderboard and you're in that bottom like 10 to 15, 20 slots, expect to have to bond some more alluvials or whatever you got to do to get up there. Because I think it's going to take at least 500,000 to get that first round of rewards.
That's what it seems like. And honestly, I'm not really big on bonding them. I like to kind of keep things all just as I buy them, just because the main thing is I just don't see myself getting in the top 100. But man, to get to 500,000, like you gotta be investing a lot. I mean, it's not easy at all.
No, it's not. In every day, like I said, I'm looking at this and I'm choosing like 1 or 2 more alluvials to bond that day just to kind of keep up with the scores rising. Me, like I think a lot of people on this board right now, we're kind of committed to trying to get into that top 100. Like I don't think I could accept. Yeah, exactly. So I don't think I could allow myself not to make top 100. And my thinking with that is that if there are another 20 to 40 people fighting for those last 10 to 20 spots, I see the floor, especially on these rare accessories, picking up again once we have that actual date for the first payout. When we had the announcement of the reward system, there was a big spike. The floor jumped up quite a bit. Over the past few days, we've seen it fall down, but I think we're going to see another spike. And Kieran this morning, he made an announcement that they're pushing the reward snapshot out. It was originally slated for the 7th. But yeah, I think whenever that date is confirmed, we're going to see another spike in these prices.
Yeah, and just one final thing on that. I know we're going to be going into a segment that kind of just coincides with this, but going back to the floor prices, I'm starting to think that everybody has the Illuvatars that they want, right? Because the floor prices on those are coming down. But I do see, like you said, when people are going to be competing for those final, top 100 spots, it's probably going to be the accessories that start seeing a little bit of a spike.
Yeah, so I completely agree. Because I'm in that same kind of boat too. Like I'm only missing 3 Illuvatars right now. Those top ones, the Ramfire, because I had to sell the one I had. And I think a lot of people are in that same situation. So every time I'm trying to bump up my points, I'm bonding what I currently have. So yeah, I see those accessory prices bumping up soon,
which kind of
might be a good opportunity. Not financial advice, but it might be a good opportunity. I'm going to try to take advantage of it.
And that kind of leads to what our next segment is, kind of going into the pay or play to earn. I don't know if you want to start off on this one. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So obviously, there's going to be different parts of Illuvium. We're going to have the overworld and Illuvium Zero. When you think of like the different areas, some of them are basically pay to earn. If you think about it just with this Illuvium Beyond, if you want to make it into the top 100 to earn some of this ILV from the, weekly rewards, you're going to have to pay quite a bit of money. That pretty much puts the average person out of this game. Then when you look over at Illuvium Zero, if you want to earn anything, you need to buy a plot of land. The tier 1 plot of land right now is still, I don't know, 500, 600 bucks,
500,
I
yeah,
think.
500.
And then obviously that just goes up from there. So if you want to earn anything from, Illuvium Zero, you're going to have to pay, quite a bit as well. The one that's up in the air is the overworld. We don't know how much it's going to cost to travel, to cure shards, or anything like that. I mean, do you see Illuvium as that game where if you don't have the money to play, is it worth playing?
It's kind of just the nature of the space, though, right? At least the nature of the crypto space. It's all about everything's going to the moon, make a bunch of money. And I think that's something that just the Web3 gaming is going to have to work on, right? Because right now, everything is about making money. I mean, you have Ramfire selling for $15,000 and they just came out,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Sports cards, 20 years ago when we collected them, if you pulled a rookie card, it was worth 15 bucks. You go to a card show, you go to a table, you spend 15, 20 bucks, you walk out with some sweet cards. The crypto space is just different. If you have money, it's going to help you for sure. Now, going back to what you said about the overworld, I know that the price to travel is still up in the air, but based on what Kieran was talking about, I'm not sure if it was a couple months ago, time flies now. He did say it was going to be pretty affordable, right? We're talking maybe $1 or $2, like equivalent.
That's what a lot of us in this community were speculating on. When he said it was going to be accessible, it was going to be fairly cheap, we kind of brought that low number down to like that $1 mark, and we were thinking like stage 1 travel might cost $1 and it might go up from there. But I don't really know, because now that we're looking at these Illuvium Beyond and we're looking at the standard non-alpha discs, and they're costing you close to $10 at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. There's a small portion of this community that's putting most of the money into this game, which is something that I don't really think is good in the long haul. Like, I just look at this top 100 leaderboard and I recognize a lot of the names.
Yeah.
I was hoping that there would be so many names that I don't recognize, but it's pretty clear who have the big wallets in this ecosystem.
Yeah, like I said, it's tough for this space to overcome that, right? Because the people are essentially creating the prices, right? Like, we're going on and setting the prices for the Illuvatars. Like, $7 to $10 a pack. That's really not that bad. A pack of sports cards these days, they sell them by $200 a pack now.
Yeah.
$7 to $10 really isn't all that bad. It's the resale value that is kind of created by people like us.
Yeah.
So I do look at the Illuvatars a little bit different. I look at the Illuvium Beyond a little bit different than I do the overworld, because it is a card collection, right? And card collectors have kind of been a craze for the past few years. Since like Gary Vee and all these athletes started getting into, collecting sports cards. I'm not saying that the Illuvatars are overvalued. I actually believe once this first wave is done, they're going to be considered undervalued, or the price will just go up. But I think it's hard to at least talk about the Illuvatars when you're talking about, is it pay to play? Because those are obviously, that's what it is. But that's like that in any sport, any card collecting. The more money you have, the better your deck's going to be. I'm a little bit more hopeful that when it comes to the overworld, it will be easier for more people to kind of be involved.
If you think of the overworld, it really is just another version of collecting cards. And Kieran used to say that. Think of the overworld like you're going in and opening a pack of cards.
Yeah.
You're just playing a game to obtain those cards. In the end, I think it's going to be pretty similar. If the base price now for a standard disc is like that $7 to $9, it could be $7 to $9 to enter into the overworld.
For some people that's not a big deal, but as we saw with and I know this kind of goes into our next segment, is Illuvium for everybody. The one of the biggest games that started everything off was Axie Infinity, and that was really kind of pushed to the front by people who were relying on somebody else's assets. Is that something that you think that Illuvium is going to be able to provide? Given the fact it's not mobile, given the fact that you maybe need a gaming laptop, is Illuvium going to be for everybody?
I think in time it will be for everybody, but I think it's going to take some time. Right now we've heard here and say multiple times that there's no plans for the Illuvium overworld made for mobile. Even if they have all the other games like the arena for mobile, the overworld is where everything works around the overworld. That's where you catch these alluvials.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't go out and catch these alluvials because you don't have a laptop, that essentially puts you out of the game.
I mean, even myself, and we talked about this, I have a MacBook, and it's not really a gaming laptop. There's a lot of lag if you get anything to work at all. And
I just had to buy a cheap gaming laptop myself, because when the overworld came out, or like open beta, or not open beta, closed beta for the open world, I couldn't even play it on my iMac that I had. So I had to go out and, I bought a $600 computer that works pretty fine. But there are a lot of people who can't even afford that. And if they can't play mobile, they're not going to spend the money, or they may not have the means to spend the money on a new computer. That's where Axie actually, I think, shined. A lot of people didn't like the whole idea of the scholarships, but scholarships in Axie gave a lot of those people who couldn't afford the assets a chance to play and earn something within the game. So I'm hoping we can do, I'm very hopeful for it, that we can do something similar with Illuvium. If, say, I can go out in the overworld and catch some alluvials, but I don't have time to compete PvP, but PvP or the arena mode is available on mobile, I could have a scholar use my assets to compete, and they might only need the Android phone or whatever phone they have to be able to do that.
Yeah. And one thing I want to mention, I don't want to sound bad that you can't play this maybe, or you're not going to be able to play the overworld on mobile, or it's not working on Mac. There is a reason for that, and it is because of the quality, right? So while it's some give and take, if you want a high quality game, you need a laptop that can handle it. So, just kind of stay in that. I don't want it to seem like, because I don't want a lower quality game to be able to play it on my laptop, on my MacBook. I do want the high quality. I think in the long term, that's going to be what's best. But, and then in regards to what you said about the scholarships, people not liking them, it wasn't really a scholarship issue, because all that was is just somebody else investing more money and kind of handing it off to someone else as if they spent their money. The only issue was the rewards. If the rewards thing was never an issue, if there was a better economic plan for, the SLP, the scholarships would have never been frowned upon. It would have been great. People may have not have made crazy money early on, but by no means, I don't think scholarships are a bad thing. I think it is necessary and healthy for the ecosystem moving forward in any game.
Yeah, and I'm going to agree with you that the scholarships weren't an issue, but I'm going to disagree with you on the other part. I don't even think that the reward system was the reason why it sort of failed. I mean, actually didn't really fail. It's still, pushing on today.
Yeah,
but the reason for its big downfall, I truly think it was because of the gameplay. I think if the game was engaging and it was a high quality game, people would play it no matter what. And that's what we're expecting out of Illuvium. So even though Illuvium does have much better tokenomics, just the fact that it's going to be a more fun and engaging game, I think that the scholarship system could easily work. The main goal of playing Illuvium isn't going to be to extract from the system, which was what a lot of people were doing with Axie. Right. Most people, I think, are going to get into Illuvium, even if they go in with that mindset of they want to extract some money. I think they're going to get caught up with how good the game is and then just play it.
Yeah, and I do believe it's going to be for everybody. I do think there will be some obstacles that people have to overcome, laptops, money, whatever it may be. But I think in the end of the day, it's going to be accessible for everybody. And I don't think that's going to be an issue long term or even midterm.
In one other point to make on something you said was kind of the give and take of the quality of the game and not being able to play on mobile. Games like Fortnite there are mobile versions of Fortnite and mobile versions of some other really high quality games.
Fair.
So yeah, you need to, optimize it down to a phone, to a smaller screen. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it might take some time, but I do think the overworld at some point, even if we're looking 5 years down the road, could be available on mobile. And I think when that hits, that's when true adoption really happens and the game really blows up. That's when we go from 2 million active players to 30 million active players.
And time will tell. You know, time flies. Bull run's coming up. People are gonna be getting back in the space, and I think we're gonna be ready to go. And I know we just talked about, you know, Axie being one, and obviously Illuvium's the main topic of the show. But Cointelegraph,
Yeah,
you want to get into
yeah.
that?
I was just gonna say. So we were just talking about, Axie. Let me bring this up right now. All right. So here we go. So we have, Cointelegraph put out their top 20 games, and I believe that this image here is ranked in order. It's pretty clear, and I agree. I think you might agree that Illuvium is number one.
Yep.
They have, the most promise, I think, out of any of these games. But what do you think about the other 19 on this list? I see a few familiar ones, but I also see a lot that I've never heard of.
Yeah. I mean, I know the first thing that we're probably going to see is people are going to say this was a paid advertisement or Cointelegraph takes money. And I don't care if they paid for this or not. Illuvium is the number one game. I think we can just state that. It's clear as day. You know, I don't think that's the case. I think, as we can see, Illuvium is the most high quality game. And the rest of them, I mean, we talked about Axie. They're just not good games. They're really not. I'm going to respectfully say this about the other games. I just don't think any of the other games are going to be anything long-term special.
First of all, there are games that I can think of that didn't make this list that I think should be there.
Mm-hmm.
A couple would be like Undead Blocks. They've come out. They're fully in their open release. They're fully released at this point.
Mm-hmm.
They're a great game. They didn't make this list. Heroes of Mavia, which is something that I do have a plot of land in. I'm slightly involved in there. That's going to be like a Clash of Clans game, which had been a number one mobile game for the past, I don't know, 10 years. That didn't make the list as well. And as much as I hate to say this, because I was pretty heavily involved in this game, the fact that Fancy Birds is up there in the 4th slot,
I saw that.
It kind of scares me a little bit, because I'm not ready to give up on Fancy Birds. I think they have a lot of potential. They're doing something similar to Illuvium, where they have similar tokenomics. They're coming out with multiple games that you can use the same assets with. I still think they have some potential, but if they're ranked number 4 here,
it's a little high.
Just the difference between Illuvium and Fancy Birds is like a mile.
That was my point. Like when I said that, you know, the rest of the 19 games on the list weren't anything special, that's not a dig at like, oh, well, what does that say about Illuvium? I'm not saying that in a negative way. What I'm saying is there is just, at the moment, there is really no comparison. I know there's some other games coming out that maybe aren't being talked about. I know there's a game called like Ashfall that's going to be on Hedera. That's going to be coming out. That looks like it's going to have some high quality. And I believe that the space in general will get some more high quality games. But I'm at least glad that Cointelegraph got this right, at least with the number one.
Yeah, I was going to say, they got it right with the number 1 slot. But I wouldn't go off of this. If you're out there looking for a new game, do your own research on different games. Don't limit yourself to these top 20. There are some other good games out there. But if you want something that's going to be a sure thing, I'm sure most people watching this right now will agree with me when I say Illuvium is probably the only sure thing on this list. A list like this is going to look a lot different in 3 to 5 years from now, and we might have some really good games up there. But yeah, after the number 1 spot here, I just don't see anything else. Something like the Sandbox and Decentraland, those have big followings. Even Axie, I see Axie, they have potential because they still have a ton of people playing the game.
Well, people are kind of starting to think that maybe Axie isn't going to be Ronan's best project anymore, and it might be time to move on.
That's true. Ronan did just announce that they have another game coming, and that they're going to keep, adding more games to their system. Now, this isn't like an Illuvium where your assets are going to go, across different games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these new games aren't using the Axie
totally.
assets. It's going to be more similar to like what Gala Games has, where they just have an ecosystem of multiple different games that are unrelated, other than them being on the same chain. Let's move on. Let's get back to some Illuvium talk here. The dev transparency.
Big one. Hot topic.
Yeah, especially lately. There was actually, I think it was Grant who made a comment recently on or a tweet recently that said like there's a lot of FUD going around.
Mm-hmm.
There are people in the community, you know, saying that we're not getting enough transparency from Illuvium. We have some people talking about how the runway is falling apart and how is Illuvium even going to last. And I don't know if it was because of these people creating this FUD, but recently we did get some more transparency. So one of the things, I'm going to bring it up right here. One of the things that we did get, Kieran posted, was this annual burn report.
Mm-hmm.
It basically just went through what they pay their employees and
Right.
how much the runway is. We can see this now, and I don't think we really knew this before. Right now, it's costing Illuvium $12.7 million for the year. So to pay all the employees at Illuvium, $12.7 million, and what they have in funds is $15.3 million. So that has an estimated runway of about 14 and a half months.
That total expense per year, once again, I don't have any idea about what it takes to run such a large scale project like this, but I was surprised. That was a pretty high number to me. What did you think that was a high number, the 12 mil?
I don't think necessarily 12 mil. I don't think that surprised me, but the way that it, you know, divvied up, I think surprised me a little bit. Because if you look at something like marketing is only $342,000 per year versus over 11 million for the core contributors. Now I know they want to pay good money to the top developers because they want to make the best possible game. And maybe the marketing budget has just been so low because the game isn't fully released yet. But I would think upping the marketing budget a little bit could bring a lot more eyes to the space.
Yeah, I've mainly just seen, I don't know if you've seen it. You probably have. I mean, have you seen, I get like YouTube ads, I get Facebook ads. Have you seen those?
I do see them. I do see them all the time, yeah.
So this goes to the transparency. I got a question about this with the transparency.
Yep.
Do you think we should know how much is going to maybe each individual, or each promoter, each YouTuber? Do you think we should kind of be aware of that? I know it's like decentralized and it's all, everybody wants to know. Like, what's your thoughts on that? Because, you know, no matter how you think about it, there's always some sort of centralization in everything, right? Like there's, for example, a centralized team building the game. What's your thoughts on that?
I've mentioned this before about, like, Illuvium is a DAO, but to me, a DAO is on a spectrum. It's very hard to have a completely 100% decentralized, autonomous organization. There is a bit of centralization that is needed. Even now, like when they have partnerships, like we know Illuvium has a lot of partnerships, they haven't been announced yet. And sometimes an NDA prevents them from even talking about these.
True.
So you can't have that full transparency all the time, you know, because of things like that. I think even though there's a lot of like FUD in the space lately, I think they are doing the best that they can to be as transparent as possible. But maybe it's okay to cause a little uproar every once in a while, because that may be why we got some more transparency this past week.
Yeah, we got a little thing from Kieran to make everyone feel better. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so on top of this, after maybe a couple days after this annual burn report was posted with the estimated runway of 14 and a half months. Yep, so Kieran actually made this post about how he is going to basically put up 300,000 of his ILV tokens as like a safety net, a safety pool. And I think that speaks a lot to being a founder of a game like this, because Kieran right now could take his money and run and he would have plenty of money. But instead, he's putting it up here as the safety pool to not only give the community some ease, but all of the employees, all of the core contributors at Illuvium. Instead of worrying about 14 months down the line, are they going to have to be finding a new job? This essentially doubled the runway. Kieran says right here, the runway is up to about 31 months if you include his safety pool tokens. So now these core contributors can start focusing more on what they need to focus on instead of being like, what am I going to do in 14 months? Now they have 31 months, and I'm sure a lot of them believe in that a new crypto bull market is going to come, And by the time we're 31 months down the road, you know, the coin prices, I'm going to guess, is going to be a lot higher in 31 months.
Yeah, I mean, which in theory, right, when the coin goes up, our runway opens. Would that be how it works?
Yeah, I mean, so even in this report right here, it says what the money is being held in. So there is some in USDC, USDT. A lot of it is held in ETH, and then you also have the IOV holdings that will be unlocked, you know, along the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, for the most part, when the crypto bull market goes back up, the runway should be extended.
Like I said, I think the transparency, I think at the end of the day, you know, as long as we got enough money, we're getting things released. I think people just need to kind of relax a little bit, understand things are coming through, and not freak out over the transparency of things.
But speaking of transparency, we got a little more transparency on what's going on with Illuvium Zero. That's been another thing that's been you know, frustrating the community. Back in January 6th, I believe it was, we had our Alpha Season 0 release of Illuvium Zero, and we were told we had a timeline that February 20th, I believe it was, everything would get wiped. We would go into Alpha Season 1, and we would be able to collect these blueprints. Now, it is April 6th, and we are still not to Alpha Season 1 yet. Julian from Illuvium has been making weekly posts to just update everyone on what's going on. I'll be honest with you, this last update isn't really clarifying anything for us.
Yeah.
You know, the update basically says that they're still working on certain things. They're working on balancing issues, especially balancing for the converters. There were some other issues where the balance between plots of land that they need to fix, because I guess how it currently was, the higher tier lands were not, I don't know, not balanced in a way to make them worth what they should be worth. So there's balancing going on there. There's UI issues that they're still dealing with, and they just decided that the team needs more time to work on it. And we get that, but we've been hearing that all the time for over a year. We've been hearing.
I mean, that's the hard part, right? I mean, all crypto games seem to have these issues where you want to be ambitious on how quick it's going to get out, but you also want to get it out properly and done right. And I think this is just my opinion. I think they're more anxious than upset about the delays, right? We're seeing promise with the game build. We're seeing promise with the Illuvatars coming out looking good. I think everyone's just kind of anxious for this next phase to be ready, and I don't think there's really anything they can do. I think they just misjudge. I think they just misshot on their timeline. They were a little ambitious, and you know, here we are. I mean, do you agree? You'd rather have this done right than kind of come out and have to fix it later?
You know, I would rather have it be done right. I think everybody agrees that it should be done right. It shouldn't be released too early. But someone, I don't know who it was that I saw on Twitter, someone who a lot of people would say was FUDing the project, was basically saying, like, you can make some wrong dates and be off by a little bit, but when you're off by 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, it's hard to say that was unexpected.
Yeah.
When the land sale happened on June 2nd, and they said the game would be playable in 6 to 8 weeks from June 2nd of last year, and it took until January for it to be playable, and we're still waiting on Alpha Season 1 to be able to collect our blueprints. You know, they made a really good point. Like, it's hard to be off by 6 to 8 months. You know, At some point, it sounds like they're just saying dates to say them when they know the expectation isn't there. Because have we gotten anything in Illuvium on time?
No, that's the hard part. That's the battle that you're always going to have. You know, we want it on time. I mean, I want it on time. You know, I think we're all ready to go. Like, you know, knock on wood. Hopefully, the bull run's here, and we want to start earning what we can earn now while things are more affordable. So when, you know, prices hopefully go up, we're in a good position and we're able to play and maximize our potential in the game. But yeah, no, I do agree. You know, when you're off by months like that, and I'd imagine too, when you're off by that many months, you're also eating into the budget, right? You got to pay the team more of their time. So is this a team issue? Is this, you know, just like you said, are they just overly ambitious and saying a date, hoping that, you know, maybe keep us at ease and keep us excited? You know, I think that's tough, you know, but I agree. I think when you start dipping into those timelines, it gets a little tough. But
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
in speaking of timelines and kind of going back to the dev transparency, I just remembered another thing that Kieran had put out is that he's actually gonna be putting out a new timeline.
I
When
did. Yep.
we can expect some new things.
Yep.
He said right in that same post that a lot of things that they won't meet a lot of these deadlines, but he thinks that he does owe it to the community to kind of give some idea to when we can expect things. He said that would be coming out this week, so hopefully we get that in the next few days. I think it's definitely gonna give us a little bit of clarity. Like,
Yeah.
even if it's just, are we still expecting open beta to be in 2023 in this year? Can we still expect it now, or is he gonna say we're not expecting it until mid 2024? Even a ballpark like timeline is going to make a lot of people a little happy, I guess.
It's
For a
just
little
something to
bit.
look forward to for sure. And I do think this time when he releases that, he will try to be more putting more thought into, okay, what am I really getting? When are we really getting this done? You know,
Yeah.
and try to keep it much closer. But that's the one downside of being excited about a game that just needs a little bit more time. But hey, how about something a little bit more exciting? A
Yeah.
a little bit
Right.
of leak, a little bit of leak of the week.
Let's get into the leak of the week. Finish this one off. Um,
It's
let's.
been a
You know
lot
what?
lot to
You
talk
went
about.
first last time, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna go first this time.
All right, let's hit us with what you got.
This is my leak of the week. Abyssal Basin Battle Board. Now, Abyssal Basin has been my favorite region. Obviously, we've only had one region to explore in the closed beta, but just by the looks of it, Abyssal Basin I think is going to be my favorite one. I'm probably going to spend a lot of time in there when the open world comes out. It looks so cool. Just the illuminescence and the big mushrooms and plants everywhere.
Yeah,
The greenery. Like, honestly, Crimson Waste, that might be my least favorite.
a little
It's
boring.
just rocks and dry, and but this Abyssal Basin looks amazing. Another picture I have here from the same leak. Tic Tac, I think is its name. It used to be McGeyser. I think they switched it to Tic Tac. I don't know. But this alluvial on the board, it actually looks a little smaller than I expected it to be compared to the Ranger. But again, just seeing this battle board, the backgrounds, I think this is just going to be a good one. Very visually, like pleasing to the eye. It's just going to be fun, and I think this is going to be one of the regions that we get when open beta does come. I think we were told that open beta should release with 3 regions. Obviously, we have Crimson Waste. I think it's going to be Abyssal Basin, and I'm not too sure what the third one was going to be.
It's on the tip of my tongue, at least what we've seen the most of. But yeah, no, we'll see eventually. I don't have any Abyssal Basin land, but as long as I can explore it, that's all I care about.
Yeah, so I do have one plot from Abyssal Basin. It's just my tier 1. I was really trying to get a tier 3 in Abyssal Basin. I couldn't do it. And even this isn't even a leak we have here, but they did show a couple shots of the UI update for Illuvium Zero, where you could actually zoom out quite a bit and see the whole region in Illuvium Zero, and that looks pretty amazing too.
Yeah, it does. I mean, like you said, it's very visually and aesthetically pleasing.
Definitely, I can't wait to get this. I need to hop more into the survival mode right now and just kind of get myself prepared for whenever we get this PvP. But what do you have for us here?
All right, what I got is super recent. The skins. They have the champion skin, the hollow skin, and what I thought was really cool about the champion skin, one, it looks pretty sweet. It's gold. It has that feel of like, all right, like you're the champion, all right, you won. And one thing I saw that people were kind of questioning, and I don't know if this is official, but it's apparently word on the street, is it will be account locked. So if you're a champion, you can't go sell that on the secondary market. It's locked to your account, which is awesome. So there's really no way of like just bets. For example, in an earlier segment, you just can't go buy that suit. You just can't pay for it. You got to earn it. So I thought that one was really cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I like that. Just to throw my 2 cents in there,
Yeah.
because first of all, I think I heard that the champion suit, this particular one is something that you can earn from, I don't know, was it purchasing like 1,000 discs or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, there is some stuff, but I feel like, and it's tough, right? Because we all say, oh, it's decentralized. You should be able to sell what you want. You should be able to
Yep.
sell your championship ring, so to speak. But, I don't know. I think this is something I personally like. It does kind of take away from just someone coming in out of nowhere and just being like, I want that suit. I'm paying for it. Might be good for Rev Dis, but I think for the sake
Yeah.
of the game, it's going to be good. And then also, in regards to the skins, we saw like there was like a Squiz one. There was the
Yeah.
Hollow. That was really cool. I know we're not really trying to make this a whole segment, being it's just a leak of the week. But do you know anything about how we're going to be how we're going to be getting these skins? I know it's going to be part of the land, but like a Hollow and all like. Do we really know like the logistics of exactly how this is going to work?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. I've been confused for this for a little while because in the closed beta for open world, you can create different skins.
Mm-hmm.
But I was under the understanding that skins would be created from Illuvium Zero, from getting the blueprints. So I don't know if that's just a closed beta thing or what's going on with that. But then I also know that there will be like different skins as rewards.
Yeah.
So I think it's the Illuvium Zero will produce the skins based off of alluvials, but then you'll be able to get skins like this champion one, the hollow one, Mozart skins. Those would be like for different rewards. So, and I think it would be different rewards across all games. So, in Illuvium Beyond, if you're maybe a certain ranking at the end of the season, you might get one, or if you complete a set, you might get some of these skins. Or if for in the open world, or sorry, like arena PvP, if you're ranked in the top 100 in PvP, maybe you get one of these skins. There's going to be multiple ways to get different skins, but I don't think it's very clear how to
Could
get
be a
all of
future
these.
segment. I didn't mean to turn this into a whole nother segment,
Yeah.
but I could definitely. I'm sure it's gonna be a future one, probably within the next 4 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, and whenever we know more, we'll definitely talk about that for sure. I think that's gonna wrap up what we have for today. I know this is a little different setup. Hope you liked it. Hope you're enjoying having Whitey here. It's almost just a way for we text about Illuvium all the time, so this is just kind of another way for us to just hash it out, talk about different topics, and then we can post it online.
Well, I'm sure we'll get more opinions in the comments. We had a lot to talk about today, so I'm sure we'll have a lot of people engaged below.
All right, well, that ends episode 16, and we'll see you back here in 2 weeks for episode 17.
All right.
All right, have a good one.
Take care.